heck is going on here?
Bob, I'd like to introduce you to the Atari Jaguar. That button is your future. Go ahead, press it.
This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
Hello, everybody. What's going on, Internet? Welcome to the April edition, Dirty Rectangles Online. We've made it another month in the can. This is almost a full year of doing this. Apparently.
Oh no!
Spoilers for next month.
We already passed a year.
It was May. It was May. It was our first.
Oh,
one.
was it May? Okay.
Yeah.
Almost.
I looked it up. We saved these things for a purpose. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Doing all right.
Jonah Davison, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Had a busy, long day, but now it's over and I can just chill and see some weird stuff.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to it. Eric McQuiggan, how are you?
I'm swell. Thank you for asking, Derek. It's finals week, so all my student projects are due, which is always a good time.
Cheers to you, teacher.
Yeah.
Kizzy Adama, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Been busy, but the weather's been nice recently, so it's been nice to be able to go outside a little more often these days.
Speaking of outside and never going there, Digital James from the internet. Yet to unplug. How's it going?
Just over at that volcano that is going off, I think in Greenland right now, Iceland.
Okay.
I don't know. I just vaguely saw it on Twitter. When you're digital, it's very, it's easy to get your foot in and get your foot out of the, things.
Is this a cool volcano explosion or a scary one?
I think it's cool. It looks pretty cool.
It's got to go this far away.
It's got like a Dutch angle going. I mean, that's always fun.
That's true. Eric Billingsley, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I've been happy to be able to get back out on my bike and experience the nice weather.
Bike rides.
And I am excited for tonight's show.
We got some really good stuff going on tonight. I'm very excited for our presenters. Before we get to that, I think we have some announcements. We have some announcements.
The royal we have some announcements. Yes, there are numerous things going on lately. As we talked about last month, now Comics versus Games, Comics X Games. Sorry, I'm using the very old name of it that they changed. Is currently ongoing. So check that out. You can get more information about that at the Hand-Eye Society. Various other things. A few things already happened earlier in April, but right now, Dames Making Games is having an RPG Zine Jam. It has already started as of the 11th of April, but it runs through to the 25th. So check that out. I mean, maybe not too late to get involved in that. I mean, it's only been going for a couple of days, but definitely check out the results when they're all in. They will be wonderful. There is also a Game Workers Unite monthly meetup April 21st. So, you know where to find them if you want more information about that. Game Workers Unite. Look them up. They're out there. Also, April 29th, there will be another Games Writer Circle run by Dames Making Games. If you're not familiar with them, it's just sort of like I think monthly now. Meetup, yes, every month, to join writers and other narrative designers in sort of a shared space to sort of share ideas and to see what other people are working on, to get feedback on what you're writing and your pitches, etc. So yeah, it's a fun time if that is what you are interested in.
Yeah. Very cool.
To jump in for a sec, the Comics X Games will be live on Twitter on May 8th to 12th. So,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Or not by Twitter, I meant Twitch. Sorry, wrong
Live on Twitter.
TWI word.
And it
That's
is
cool.
a very cool event.
Oh, yeah, it's super cool.
You've done that before, right, Jonah?
Yeah, I demoed at TCAF and it was cool and terrifying. And I got lots of people who didn't quite get what I was going for because it's a big public event. But I also had tons of cool people who did get what I was going for, which was much appreciated. And also, an Eric turned up, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
There's so many. That's cool.
I was gonna say like the good Eric, but that's like just mean and also
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
thing.
no, it's
But my brain just went there, and that's not fair.
It could be good and gooder. Good and also good. Anyways,
Sure.
Good Eric. My good Erics. It's filmed
do you
in front of
have,
a live studio audience.
any more announcements from the internet there, James?
Those were the only ones I had marked down. There's a whole bunch of games coming out in Toronto lately. Hold on.
Not only has James gone completely digital, he's also an RSS scrubber.
That's one of the many advantages of being digital. Yeah, I mean, there's just too many to list. I'm not going to go through all these, but you can check them out on the Handai Society. If you look at their monthly newsletter, just all kinds of great games. Super Space Club, the Big Con, which his name escapes me right now, but sort of the lead designer on that did a Dirty Rectangles online. I think the first one we ever did.
Dave Proctor.
Yeah. So that, I don't think it's out yet, but it's very, very fast approaching being out. Or there's a new teaser. I'm not sure what's up with it. I'm not going to put him on blast like I did with Ryan Miller when I said that his announced game was released, which is not the case. So very, very careful about that.
Do it. Force him to release something. That's awesome. Cool. So before we get going, quick call out, head over to our website, dirtyrectangles.com. You could find there our code of contact, which is always in effect at any and all of our events, in person or on the internet. So be sure to read through all the good stuff that we have in there. And if you ever, hear anything, feel weird about anything, always feel free to reach out. We have an anonymous form that you can reach out through on there, or you can reach out to us in person. Speaking about reaching out to us, if you also want to get on the show, you got to reach out to us because otherwise we don't know who you are. So you could do that in multiple ways by pinging us on Twitter or hitting us up on our Discord. We'll throw a link into the chat later where you can jump into our Discord. We got a channel in there and you can show something off next month. Why not? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Any last words
Fun.
from anyone? Nothing?
Yeah, video games.
That's the one.
That's about
All right,
right.
we'll be back in just a minute with our first presenter of the night. Don't go anywhere.
Stand by ready. Good luck.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with our very first presenter of the night, Sean Murphy. What's going on, Sean?
Woo!
Not too much. I'm just here to show off two things. One, Void Rifter, of course, my favorite project. And talk also about the event coming up in this summer for game industry rights for the workers and stuff like that. So, but first, we're going to start with Void Rifter. So far I've been working quite a bit on Void Rifter. I mean, I have an official release date now, which is August 1st. I don't know if I mentioned that at the last 30 Rectangles I showed at. But in order to prepare for that, I've been overhauling a lot of the artificial intelligence. I showed a little bit of that last time. Now I'm showing a little bit more. I've started a new approach. I posted on Twitter about this a little bit a couple days ago, actually, and I'm starting a new approach of where I'm making the AI in the game like an RTS AI. So you are a first-person mech fighting a system which seems to be intelligent in some way, shape, or form, and it creates squads and is actively hunting you with the squads as well as holding points of interest and stuff like that. And so, for example, there will be certain sections of the game where you had to protect things and or fight things and or defend things and stuff like that. I think that's the same thing as protect. But and so I'm here to show that off today. Yay. All right. Well, I guess is it being there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
As usual, last time I started with Unity 2020 before LTS, but thankfully I'm in LTS now, so it doesn't crash as much, which is wonderful. The crashing was starting to drive me nuts. So let's get into it. So a couple of things I've been experimenting with is how do you create a director that's reasonable and isn't too ruthless? And it turns out randomness is the key to that. Excuse all my debug UI. But this is the starting of the campaign. Quite a bit of blocks and everything like that all over the place, of course. Mainly because I haven't done an art pass or anything like that, and I'm still prototyping the levels. But you can start to see that they are attacking me while they're moving to their points of interest. And we just have a couple of them right now, but the director hopefully will spawn like an absolute crap load at me, and we'll get a lovely amount of bullets flying everywhere. So some things broke before I got in here, so hopefully, there we go. Hopefully they're actually spawning. And so it's August 1st is a pretty exciting deadline. Oh boy, here we go. Pretty exciting deadline. Chapter 1 of Void Rifter is going to be coming out on that date, which means that I am going to have to build at least 4 hours of gameplay over the next 4 months. But thankfully, that is proving to be quite easy to do with the way the director plays you and you play it. And so I just really am aiming at building enough levels to be able to make that feel reasonable. God. I spoke too soon. It was like, yeah, here, have all of the AI at once. It killed me. There's respawning now too, which is awesome. In the last time I showed this off, there wasn't a respawn for campaign. If you died, it would crash, which was cool. And now it doesn't do that. So if anyone has any questions, I'd love to hear them. I should probably open up the chat there. Can you guys hear the game?
No.
Ah, yes. I love it. Thank you, Discord. The main focus, of course, on Void Rifter is to be a co-op game as well. This is something that I don't think I talk very much about because it is a multiplayer game, a networked multiplayer game. A lot of the inspirations come from Halo 3, right? And so Halo 3 is played best when you play it with friends. And so the entire campaign for Void Rifter is designed around the ability to play up to 4 players in the campaign. You can have a squad of 4 going on your way and going through the dimensions and rifting the void. Wow, I decided that it's going to give me a lot of AI, so this might take a minute, but yeah.
So, with any artificial intelligence system, I guess one of the hard questions is how do you figure out? Do you have a way to check to see what decisions the AI is making, other than just the what shows up? No, no.
I do not. I do not. Oh, we're getting out of range errors. Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, there's really no way for me to tell what's going on. It just is doing its own thing. And if I'm seeing behaviors that are similar to what I'm trying to get out of it, then I'm happy. If I'm not, then yay, emergent gameplay. Is really all I got in that sense. But effectively, one of the strategies it's using is it's taking a lot of the AI and it's putting them together into squads. And then those squads are being sent to do actions like defend points and stuff like that. Then the director is counting how much health you have regularly. It's checking to make sure that you are actually fighting the player or fighting the enemies and stuff like that. And if you're not fighting the enemies, then it says, well, time to put you on your toes, and it'll start spawning a lot more. If it finds at any point you're not inputting at all, it's going to just obliterate you because it wants you to play the game. And if you're not playing the game, it's gonna have a problem with that. And it seems as though it decided that it thought I wasn't playing the game. So, yay, bug. Oh my god.
I love a good temperamental AI.
Question from the chat here that I also was thinking about. Are the VR headset errors, everything that's popping up there, is that diegetic? Like, is that actually stuff in the game? How does that like memory and MP pre-GC popping up and down? What's all that stuff?
Oh, so that's debugging stuff. I didn't turn any of that off for this, which I
okay.
actually intended to. So on the left side, we can see all the Oculus Quest, because the main platform is Oculus Quest and mobile VR. And so the great thing about about mobile VR and stuff like that is there's really no way to see debug logs unless you have them inside the physical space. And also it makes it a lot easier to see errors that are coming up instead of having to open the console while I'm playing. But you can see on the left side, it is running in universal URP low quality because I got a lot of cubes. I use a tool called Yumi for level design, which is you just place a lot of blocks everywhere and ramps and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But it means every single object you see on screen, every single part is a single object, and that's a lot of objects. So it has to. I have to do an art pass on this where I'm going to create a overlay of the level, and then using Pro Builder, then export that to 3ds Max, optimize it and stuff like that, and then push that out, and that will be the level mesh, and then fill the level with its lovely art assets and bake all the lighting. But yeah, so everything we see here is just debug log stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also am using debug log error for just logging because I use a couple plugins which just spam the log output, and I just don't feel like having to search constantly or type it in what I'm looking for. And so I just use debug.log error instead because it's way faster, and I'm so lazy. But yeah.
We got another question from the chat here. Yeah, from Badger. For someone who knows nothing about Void Rifter, what's the framing of the story / campaign?
Somebody stole your dog. And you have to, through rage and fury, use your mech to get your dog back. Essentially, I'm going to spoil a little tiny bit of the story. They're interdimensional creatures that harvest life forms for power generation in their dimension, and yeah, so it's not your typical mech game, but it is your typical mech game at the same time. So story-wise, it's a little different because I'm playing Mech Warrior 5 and stuff like that. It was a lot of like, yeah, we're mercenaries and stuff like that, and then you play stuff like Armored Core, and it's like I don't even know what the story is. You just shoot stuff. And so I wanted to approach it a little bit differently and provide a bit more of silliness, I guess. I'm not quite sure where I'm going with it yet, but it'll all come together in the last second, hopefully. TLDR, you pilot mechs in VR or non-VR where you actually reach out and touch the buttons to activate things instead of being like your buttons are bound to the buttons on the controller. You have to actually physically reach out and pull the handle to arm the rockets, and then press the button to fire the rockets, kind of thing. You had to change your guns by physically reaching out and doing that kind of thing. And it's very exciting. When you're playing it, it's extremely exhilarating. But yeah, and so first episode comes out August 1st, and that will be hopefully releasing on the Oculus Store as well as Steam and the Pico Neo 2 in the Asian market, of course. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see how that goes. It's gonna be about 4 hours of gameplay, hopefully, fingers crossed. And it will be very exciting. I keep saying hopefully, mainly because I'm a little ways from there, and
It's interesting that you brought up some sort of like non-North American based distribution networks and stuff like that. What were the ones you said that it was released on?
Pico Neo is the largest VR headset in Asia. So they produce the Pico, Pico is the name of the company. Pico Neo 2 is their current headset, and it's a very cool little headset. It's a little bit more powerful than the Oculus Quest, about the same as the Oculus Quest 2. And it is. They contacted me actually because they saw me on SideQuest. Because Void Rifter's initial demo released last year on May something or another was released purely on SideQuest. We were going to release it on other platforms, but we just didn't because we just kept going with development. My thought process behind releasing in more I was immediately absolutely. My thought process behind that is the more markets I can get, the more users I can get, the more likely I am to be able to work on this full time someday. That's the end goal, of course. Right now, I'm mostly part-timing it on this game, and I would like to be able to spend the full time every day working on it, and that's hopefully what releasing in multiple markets will allow me to do.
It's cool. I'm excited to hear how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
Gotta finish up some more of the campaign stuff so that I can actually have like proper marketing videos, because I'm coming up on 4 months now till the release date, which means that this is the time to start marketing like crazy. So I'm probably going to drop as much money as I possibly can into that, and get as many ads. So if everybody sees ads, please share them, like them, interact.
Was that sorry, not to derail, the when you died there, was that what caused that macOS crash, blue screen of death thing?
Yeah,
that's a great death sequence.
So actually, one of the interesting things about releasing in the Asian market is you can't really have death in your games.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Okay.
And so nobody actually dies in Void Rifter. Nothing actually dies. So when you kill these things, they just go back to the other dimension. That's what their little purple thing behind them is. And then when you die, quote unquote die, your mech just shuts down. And
that's interesting.
At least that's how it's going to be in the Chinese market. In North America, you're going to blow up.
Yeah, I was sort of interested in what some of the rules and stuff like that was for that Pico stuff. Because, yeah, I mean, I think recently I saw a story of like a lot of like cartoons, like children's cartoons and stuff like that being banned in China because they dealt with like certain characters dying and stuff like that, and they didn't want that in like children's material or whatever.
Yeah, one of the things to keep in mind so far as I've been going through this is no blatant death, absolutely no blood of any kind, and no, of course, super negative related things toward any government of any kind. And so you just kind of have to build a game that's very vague story-wise and hope for the best. Did I finish this wave? I think I did. I unconnected a ton of the AI waves because usually this entire section is supposed to take about 35 minutes because there's going to be points and stuff all over the place. You get to defend and stuff. And there's another 2 map sections after this. But yeah. One of the cool things about working with Pico specifically is they provide localization for you. They cover localization. They provide translation of everything. They even provide you free servers for access if you need that, which I thankfully don't. But yeah, it's they've been super kind, super easy to work with, and they have a helpline, which is really handy. I look forward to arting this so that it actually looks better. And next month, I'll probably show this off again because we will be talking again next month about the NDP event, which I should segue to. Coming up this summer, there is going to be an event happening where the NDP is going to be hosting stuff around gamers' rights. The event will be hosted by the young. I have notes to read. The event will be hosted by the Young New Democrats of Quebec. It is Quebec Youth Wing section of the federal NDP. It'll take place virtually in June, specific date to be confirmed. As the format, it will be a virtual panel discussion, which is an excellent way to showcase the diversity of opinions, perspectives on the topics and at hand. We'll be talking about the working conditions in 3 different sectors, entertainment industry, and then pertains to video games. We would like to uncover the abuse conditions, workers, and stuff like that. Tactics companies use to bypass existing laws, and many things similar to that. We want to bring forth notability NDP policies that can help workers, such as stronger labor laws and UBI and stuff like that. Yeah, I did say gamers' rights. It's weird to think that as workers in the game industry, we have rights. Because I think we've all worked for studios where that was a hush topic, but you do have rights, which is wild. And learning all about that lately. There will be a Zoom session around it, and we'll be live streaming through Facebook and stuff like that. Bring all the questions you have, chat, and public questions for 30 minutes towards the end of the panel. We may extend other platforms streaming sessions such as Twitch to be confirmed. Therefore, it's totally free to listen in, and encourage anyone who's interested to come by and contribute to the discussion, ask questions. Topics will be covered in English and French. The team will help with technical translation matters and stuff like that. If you'd like to be a speaker... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, and by gamers' rights, you mean like game workers, right?
Game developers. Developers who, I mean, game industry coined the term stress casualty. That is from the game industry. And it's weird to think, hey, you know, stress casualty. Hey, our friends didn't come back to work. Well, they were a stress casualty. Oh boy. You know, it's a term that is unfortunate, and it should be something that should be put behind. And we should move forward into an industry that respects us and loves us as for the talented people we are. And if you'd like to be a speaker at the event or get involved in any way, please reach out to Sarah Jane, who is my significant other in the Discord. She is hosting the event. I believe she's watching this. Hi, Sarah. If people want more information, just reach out, and she'll answer any question you have.
Can we get a link dropped in chat?
One second. I'll ask her if she can drop it.
It doesn't have to be in there right away, but we can figure that out, I think, before the end of the show.
Sure, absolutely. We'll figure that out by the end of the show. That's a good idea. But yeah. Any other questions for anybody? I guess I should keep playing the game because it's the
cool.
Mike's just been sitting there
getting some shout outs in the chat. Someone saying Will O'Neill saying big Zone of the Enders vibes.
Zone of the Enders. I've never heard of that. What is that?
Oh, dude, you got some homework to do.
I've been watching
all the.
I've been watching all the Cowboy Bebop stuff too, and it's been inspiring some things lately. So,
and if you buy it, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if you buy it, you get a demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh hell yeah!
Is that how that worked? I thought Zone of the Enders was in the demo for Oni. Is that how that worked? Anyways, Sean, your game was great. I love Max.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Can you play it with 2 joysticks?
I bought 2 HOTAS sticks so I can port it to HOTAS.
Ah,
So
good.
you'll have throttle support, and you'll have proper joystick support for it. Also has gamepad support. Wow, I'm getting shot a lot. Proper gamepad support. So if you don't like using keyboard and mouse, and you have a computer, you can play with what are those things called? Gamepad, Xbox controller, or whatever. As well as it supports Oculus Quest, Oculus Quest 2, any desktop VR, hopefully. And I'm going to be pushing it onto the PlayStation Store soon, probably end of the year. So it'll be on the PlayStation Store as well as PSVR, and maybe, if I'm lucky, PlayStation 5.
Hell yeah, bud.
Awesome.
Cool.
Can we get some Doritos in the chat, please, for the one and only Sean Murphy? Sean, always a pleasure to see the progress of this thing and how it's coming together. And I'm looking forward to seeing the wrap up afterwards.
Good luck with the release
best
date.
of luck, man.
Well, great news. It just crashed. So it lasted this long.
Nailed it.
All right. It was
Lasted
wonderful
as long as
chatting
it
with you
needed
guys.
to.
As long as
Alright.
it needed to.
You're getting some
Alright.
big Doritos, the full ones, the ones that are at the top of the bag and haven't turned into crumbs.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
those are the
the
best
good ones. All right, we will be back in just a little bit with our next presenter of the night. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good one. Bye.
ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our next presenter of the night, Badru. Take it away.
Hey.
Hello.
So, people can hear me. This is Tenderfoot Tactics. It's like a turn-based RPG, but sort of big open exploratory world. I thought first of all I'd show the credits, just so it's clear I'm not, I didn't make this on my own. These 6 names up here are the core team. So I did most of the work. I did all the in-engine work. But in addition, Michael Bell, who I've worked with on a bunch of things before, and people really love his music. He's gotten a lot of accolades for doing the Verity soundtrack, which is another game we did back in 2015, maybe? In addition, Isa Hutchinson, Taylor Thomas, Zoe Vartanian, and Madison Pathé in various roles. A lot of like design help, which is something that I wouldn't have thought I would have wanted before I started making a lot of games, but turns out like it's pretty hard to collaborate with people on in-engine stuff just for technical reasons versus like very easy to get design help, and also you are not smart enough to think of all the good things. So, yeah. Gonna pop right into a battle. So this is like one of my late save files. This game is really heavily inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics, and among the inspiration cores are the relatively low unit count. So you only have a number up to 6 units on your team. The focus on turn order. So this is like the full turn order, and this game has a lot of turn order manipulation. So having this display up here and also having people's turns over their heads is really important for gameplay. The relatively small map size, we actually crunched it down much smaller even than Final Fantasy Tactics does. And the class structure, which is pretty exploratory, like you need to get a couple levels in this class to unlock this class, and 2 of this class and 2 of this class to unlock this, etc. Hey Paul, nice to see you in chat. Not much is up. Yeah, and the things that are more special about it in its genre are the really small map size and really short session times, and also that it's almost entirely deterministic, and it has a really heavy focus on natural systems simulations. So I'll show you that in a second, but you can kind of see, and actually I can reload the map. You can see right now there's like grass right here. The soil underneath the grass is relatively dry, which is why it's lighter. There's some water down here that this giant's standing in. And you can see where the cliff edges are, which jumping up cliffs costs a number of move equal to the lines on the cliff. So high cliffs end up costing all your move eventually. And these bushes, which also end your turn when you move into them. So actually, if I just start a move, you can see I can move through my unit into this bush, and I'll have to end my turn there. And I can move furthest when I'm going down a hill, basically. But another thing that differentiates this game, I think, is it's very forgiving. So it's very challenging, but you can retry a map as many times as you want. And it's like really heavily randomly generated in terms of like setup randomness. So every time I regenerate, it'll just repopulate everything on the map. It'll keep the map the same size. It'll keep all the units, the enemy units and the loot the same. But it'll regenerate everything. And that little load in is like very quickly actually running the natural simulations from, it just puts grass everywhere and water everywhere. And then it just lets the water fall downhill. So yeah, this is a team. I haven't played this game in quite a while. It came out in October, and this is the latest team that I had been playing with. So it's very high level classes. And I'm probably going to get trounced, because another thing about this game is it can be pretty challenging, and it has a adaptive AI difficulty system. So the better you play, the harder it gets, and I'm not sure how that goes when I've walked away from it for a while. But I'll just throw down some stuff. So I'll throw this thorn and regen move on myself. You can see some little icons, tickers that show the enemies are using like flash abilities that are starting wildfires, fire giants breathing fire on me. The game is like just incredibly chaotic, and jumping into this late game I think is a really good way to show like just how much is going on by the time you get deep into it. So when we're designing it, a lot of the moves, basically everything will have like, you know, does some amount of direct damage, but we're very focused on like side effects that might be inconvenient at different times. So almost everything has side effects that can ripple out in complicated ways. Like the very high damage moves are often fire, which has obvious visual side effects. Fire will run over anyone it hits. It'll put this burning debuff on, which will just burn them over time. And also, as long as they're burning, if they walk into grass, it'll start it burning. Use this bolt move. So you can see in the little preview there, it says +4 fire. Whereas if I scroll over here, this says -5 water. Just up top. Most everything at higher levels has lots of like elemental side effects. If I jump over here, it looks like everything is really dry and plantless, and I'll be able to just jump and do damage and not cause any side effects. Fortunately, it looks like my Bog Witch is about to die. I would love to show... Actually, can I fertilize myself? I cannot. Bog Witch has a very cool move called Fertilize that lowers a unit's health, poisons it, and also gives it a status effect called Fecund that births a bog body on death. So it'll birth like a little unit that you can run around and fight with. Sorry, I've just been like laser focused on trying to explain the absolute chaos on screen right now, but I just noticed there's people talking in the chat.
Oh, don't worry, we'll keep track of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ellen Pestalozzi was asking, if the game is designed to be forgiving through an easy replay resetup option in the menu, is clicking that replay button a few times to get a random setup you like part of the core gameplay design intent, or is it just sort of like a thing you can do, I guess?
I would say not like core from the beginning, and more something that happened later on that we just sort of didn't have a problem with. We weren't really sure how we were going to do retrying, and it was something we played around with a bunch of. Whether, you know, at a certain point, every time you lost a battle, all you could do is flee. And we had a couple people in the beta who didn't like that you could retry and like re-roll the map. They thought that it's like, it makes it too easy, but I don't really have a problem with it. I think most people don't mess with it. Some people like start re-rolling every map to get one that's favorable. And like, if they're gonna do that, that's fine, I think. Oh, I forgot I was testing out a change in Fertilize. So I actually have Fertilize on my Druid as well. So hopefully I can kill this giant. It's funny because like it doesn't show off the like natural systems so much, but those are running all the time. And this is just one of the moves I'm most excited about. This little bog body. So, forgot, but Bog Buddy has water walks. You can see the giants and my pit fiend here that just died are like sitting in the water. Some units walk on the water. Oop, it's gone. Yeah, so you can say I am getting completely trounced. I should have handled these like imps, which are just high damage dealing ranged guys first, but here's another interesting move. So realizing something I haven't discussed at all yet, which is very core to Tenderfoot, is that facing matters a lot, and that's another thing we've borrowed from Final Fantasy Tactics. You can see it in this move, which is like flash, so it's sort of a light move, and you can see where I'm jumping over here, it'll hit all of these enemies that are facing it, versus if I jumped like back here, it would hit my druid. I'm not sure if you can really see the bars being highlighted. But hits them, and then they turn away from it because it's a light move. But almost everything works the opposite direction, where if you hit someone from behind, it knocks them back in turn order, so you want to hit them from behind, and then they'll turn around to face you. So you're also manipulating their turn order by hitting them. I'm just going to flee this combat, which I'm going to lose anyway. Back to my home. So another thing that is quite different about Tenderfoot Tactics is, so I'm back in a goblin town right now. You can see at any point, well, right now I have quite a few birds, so I can fly up really far and I can fly quite a ways away to sort of get an oversight of what the land looks like. Back in this town, there's a map I haven't picked up yet. So all the maps in Tenderfoot are like this, where they're hand-drawn maps. The boundary of the water and the height map is actually like 100% accurate because the game is based on this height map, but then the places that are drawn into it are drawn in by the goblins who live here. So this is the town that we're in right now. If I go over here, there's a big skeleton, and this is like a sort of mysterious thing that's very optional. This as well. There's quite a few like little optional dungeons. In fact, most of the game is optional. There's a really pretty stripped down like central storyline. I can also go up in bird and click to move. Pretty stripped down central storyline, and then a lot of like exploratory side content. It's just something that I really like prefer in games. Yeah, there's a bunch of more stuff I can go deep into, but I feel like I should dig in some of these questions.
So
there's a few questions people were asking.
I like this
Sorry,
question here
Derek.
about the fire giants and if they would heal from the fire. Do you have any of that kind of like system driven stuff in there?
Yeah, there is. So actually this Pit Fiend has the same passive that fire giants have, which is Flash Sweat, which just causes the damage to be reversed for fire damage, but it's specifically for like the burning status effect. So I don't know. That's maybe an oversight of development that like fire type spells they're not necessarily fire type, like all damage is typeless, but burning from the fire hit is actually treated somewhat differently. I wonder if there's too much water here, or the Pit Fiend, you can like lay down these lava spots that, yeah, it looks like it just went away because it's just too wet, the water there, but can cause burning to last forever.
Somebody else was asking if you ever considered doing a chariot, turret type system.
No, I don't really know what is Chariot Tarot.
I'm not sure what that is either. I know Chariot is one of the trumps, but I think maybe there's a game called Chariot. I'm not sure. Oh, something like Ogre Battle. I'm familiar with that.
I haven't played Ogre Battle. There's a couple like tactics classics I still need to go back to.
It's just sort of like a system where when you take over certain little things on the map, you get tarot cards that you can then use in battles. They're just like a consumable, basically, that gives you either like some kind of a buff or some kind of an effect or something.
That's interesting. No, I really want to play. I'm turning 30 in like a week, which I'm pretty excited about. But one of the things I'm trying to get out of my birthday is possibly a Tactics Ogre copy to finally play it.
To celebrate 30 years of Bad Room.
Uh-huh.
Well, Paul Myers in the chat says that this thing is from Tactics Ogre, so there you go.
Yeah.
Because it's like an infinite undo for turns. That's what he was.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah. So it's actually a sort of a necessity almost of this game. So because we're like heavily rooted in everything is deterministic, and that includes the natural systems are all run deterministically. They're actually cellular automata, and a lot of the design of the game comes out of like a kind of fascination with cellular automata and with chaos theory and complexity in general, and like randomness arising out of non-randomness. But because of that, it means that some of the feeling of randomness of the game is the player not knowing the way that the natural systems will develop over the course of a turn. So not knowing necessarily like whether the fire will actually catch there or not. But it will every time if you were to roll the turn back. And so that was something that like from early on we just decided if players can preview what their turn is gonna look like in terms of the way the natural systems will change, and that's just going to give them an advantage every time, they're just going to be encouraged to do like a fake turn and then roll back every turn they play. I just want people to be like moving forward and playing very chaotically and freely as much as possible. At least, you know, I don't mind people restarting the combat to get the right layout, but like once you're in it, I want it to feel like just free flowing. Like, yes, it is deterministic, but also it's just total chaos. I just don't want that like really slow feeling. So,
right. Somebody else was asking about like what kind of progression there is. You were talking about like exploratory multi-classing earlier. Is there sort of any other ways that you progress as you go through the game? Like how do you get stronger outside of just like earning new classes and stuff?
Yeah.
Or do you?
So it's mostly around classes and skills. I can show you so this is in my train menu. This is my Lich. So this is like the full Lich skill tree. And I'm level 8, so it's going to take me like forever to get to the next level. But technically there's no level cap. And like at this point you can see I've only been able to fill out, you know, really half of my skill tree. And I can choose to like forget some skills. I can somewhat freely forget skills and learn new ones. The cost is this collectible called Feyweed. There's a lot of like herbs around the game, and Feyweed is an herb that only grows in the fog, which is, you can kind of see this foggy area here around the town. The fog is also a cellular automata in how it expands. The fog is like the main enemy of the game. So every time I flee from a combat, time passes in the fog simulation and it trickles closer to town. If it takes a town, it'll actually depopulate it, and certain people won't be here anymore until I go back into the fog, knock the fog out of the goblins, and they'll slowly return to town. Also, this town will never be taken because I've set my home here, so like it's protected by a spirit. In the game, I'm playing a spirit and I'm not actually a goblin. My body is just like made out of these goblins. The sort of narrative frame of it. Anyway, so you can collect this Feyweed, but you have to go into the fog to get it. You can use the Feyweed to respec however much you want, but you only have as many skill points as you have levels. So I'm spending 3 to get Shatter 3, 1 to get Spit Oil, etc. I also have Memory. So my Memory, I can use any skill from any other class that I've learned. So as long as it has an affinity with this, you might be hearing my dog drinking water. Just got back from a walk. As long as this class has an affinity, or the classes in this game are called breeds, has an affinity with that element. So Liches have an affinity with water and fire. So I can use anything that's water and fire, or anything that's non-elemental. Here's the like breed evolution tree. So I can also switch freely, and it doesn't cost anything between any breed that I know, or that I have the prerequisites for on this Goblin Nyx. And you can see like on my spell sword, I can use like an old Lich move, Bolt. So you can really like pretty freely respec your team, and that's really intentional. In addition, there is the equipment system is like pretty bare bones in terms of you only have 2 trinket slots on each goblin. And for the most part, trinkets just increase damage. They increase something called power, which is damage and healing, or they increase your max health on that goblin. But there's a variety of unique items throughout the game. So almost anything that's like purple or orange in color, which I guess I have most of them equipped, have these like special attributes which you can see in the bottom of the card there. So like this Pale Peridot. Gems are most of the purple items, and they have pretty simple ones. Pale Peridot has -5 plant on it. So all of my skills, if I have this equipped, get -5 to their plant. So if I'm playing like a plant heavy class like a druid, and I put Pale Peridot on it. Oh, he actually has a Peridot. Where did my Pale Peridot go? Oh no, I might have a bug on this branch. Oh no, there it is. Switch my Peridot out for a Pale Peridot. If I go back to my Druid now, a lot of these moves that might have created plants before actually subtract plants from the battlefield. So you can pretty widely change almost all of your abilities into different abilities that interact differently with the simulation. But these items are items that you have to get from specific locations. Some of them are from battles that will be randomly generated when you're a certain level. These like large spirit figures will come down and attack you, or they'll want to play with you basically. And some of them are from special sites. So if I go through my maps, this site here, that's, I guess you can probably see where my cursor is like it's not related to the story. You never have to go there for the plot. I'm having trouble getting out of here. Here, I'll cut back and go to a different save file. Go to my recent new game file.
When you were looking at the character class screen, the sort of like ring of different jobs is very reminiscent of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh yeah, it's like a straight. Yeah. I mean, that was like, it feels good to have that like very clear illusion in the game, but in some ways that's also a marketing move, right? Of just signaling like, on the Steam page, there's going to be this screenshot that's just going to scream to you, this is a Final Fantasy Tactics style game.
Paul Myers in the chat was just asking what were like the other major games, if there are any, that also served as an inspiration, like other than the Final Fantasy Tactics, obviously.
I think I've been making games since, I've been making big games since like 2013. And so I think at this point, a lot of design influences have sort of like melded together in how I think about games in general. And like, honestly, I think World of Warcraft is a huge, oh, here's actually a spirit, is a huge influence on almost everything I make, but also like a lot of the games that influence that kind of like, that just that feeling of like you're dropped in a world and it doesn't really care about you necessarily, and you just can wander around wherever you want. So a lot of people bring up Morrowind, I think because of the maps. Morrowind is also definitely a game that had like a major influence on me. But Final Fantasy Tactics is definitely like the direct reference game, I think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's like in our mood board, but yeah, so this guy Ferret is there's like a handful of spirits around the archipelago who will interact with you, and unlike the Fog, they have like very tightly designed teams full of like exclusively playable classes. And these guys are how you can get gems, as you have to beat them. So that's one of the like progression mechanics, kind of, right? Progression is a little loose in this game.
I really like the design of the like when you're looking at your character screen in like the submenu or whatever, how it almost kind of looks like little church windows around characters.
Yeah. I mean, so visually, we have a lot of influences from. Actually, all the costuming is taken from sort of like late medieval Russian, Eastern European dress. And a lot of the like UI design is taken from like early 20th century Russian illustrators who were like harkening back to and drawing that kind of costuming. It's a sort of random cultural source. I'm not sure how I feel about like the sort of randomness of it. But it is just something that we loved on the team, and so something that we took.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that there's like sort of like a uniting like sort of aesthetic, like the seed of it is definitely like a lot of stuff seems to match up very naturally, and yet it's not like It's clearly not based on like some other game or something. You know what I mean? Other than the little like sort of homages to Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, actually, another just talking about visuals, another reference I should talk about, especially since you guys are Canadian. I'm actually in Seattle, but my family has some roots in Canada, and I always used to summer, like a rich person is what I'm talking about. I would spend like a week of my summer, like almost every year of my life, at visiting my grandparents, who would spend their whole summer in Georgian Bay, so up just north of Toronto. And they're like, my family is full of artists. My grandpa is a sculptor, and they would always have art around, and they're like huge lovers of Tom Thompson and the Group of Seven. And so in the beginning, this game was actually intended to be set in the Great Lakes, like a future of the Great Lakes. But I became more and more of an adult as time passed on. This is like a forever project. This game took like years and years. Had less money for like actually traveling, and basically haven't made it up there very much recently. Also, like my grandparents have gotten older, and so they're not up there anymore. They're like, they can't really travel so much. So I don't know, it started to feel less authentic to my experience. So it's not like officially set in Canada, really. It's sort of set in this sort of like, well, it could be anywhere. It's so like distantly in the future. But a lot of the visual inspiration is pulled very directly from Tom Thompson and the Group of Seven. Like a lot of the colors, I actually have a board that I could pull up, although maybe not on this stream. That's like all of the colors are direct references to specific paintings, and a lot of the like shape language of different regions.
Very
so
cool.
Yeah, not a game reference, but I think that helped a lot with the feeling of like visual cohesion.
Yeah, one thing I really liked as I've been playing is when you're in like the spirit battles, some of the just like their voices, like the dialogue lines and the way they're written in this weird like abstract way really adds a lot to those encounters.
Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. I have kind of mixed feelings about the writing sometimes. I feel like I have pretty high standards for writing, and so that was something that was actually really difficult in making this game. Was it just went through so many writing passes, and in the end, I feel a little bit more like I don't feel like incredibly proud of the way the writing ended up, but I think that it's appropriate for what the game is, and we keep it pretty sparse so that it doesn't like. It certainly doesn't get in anyone's way, and firstly, some people have enjoyed it. I'm glad that you feel that way. I'm bad at taking compliments, but
I think it's hard when you've been like, how long were you working on Tenderfoot Tactics for?
Yeah, we've had the ideas for forever, right? Final Fantasy Tactics I played when I was little, obviously, so it's been something I've been wanting to make for a long time, but started working on it in, I think, 2014, I guess. It was like December after we'd just finished releasing Eidolon, which was the first game we put out right out of college, which is like a big kind of an influence on this game, even though it's our game, but a big exploratory walking game with hand-drawn maps. So we had just put out Eidolon, and Eidolon was made in Unreal Engine 3. We had a really bad experience with Epic, which I don't really need to go into, except for to say that I was like, I'm not using Unreal anymore. I'm switching to this new engine, Unity. And so like the very beginning of this project was right after that game came out in 2014. And it was just making the dynamic mesh for the terrain based on a cat-like coding tutorial, which is like still the absolute best. tutorials probably that I've found. Like, I'm a huge fan. And yeah, I mean, it's just like sat with me through so many eras of my life. Like, very quickly after starting it, we kind of got diverted and worked on Viridi, which is this potted succulent simulator that we made. It just had a much bigger audience, and it was a much more reasonably scoped game. And like, coming out of Viridi, I had just come out of school and gone straight into independent, and working independent is like complicated and very challenging in lots of ways, including emotional ways, and I really wanted to have some experience like in the industry. So like, after Viridi, I worked a bunch of jobs, and this has just been like a forever back burner project where like I would quit a job and then be like, now I'm going to work on Tenderfoot, I'm going to finish it, and then 6 months later I'd kind of like burn out on being independent and take another job. And so yeah, it's been with me for a long time, and there are a lot of like old sketchbooks with drawings. And
I remember you were working on it for a long time. I remember like the original look of it. I remember when you were just using those like lo-fi sprites, I think.
Yeah, there were like hand-drawn sprites, and there were like very, very stick figure looking guys.
No, it's just something I brought up because it's like, I feel like with certain games, especially one like this, where, you know, it's very elaborate, it's very complicated, it takes a long time to come from the concept to like actually having it done so other people can play it. And it's just like, it's a tough thing, you know what I mean? It's hard to stay excited about it yourself, and sort of like things that like you would probably be jazzed about if you had just, you know, seen them or conceived of them like a week or a month ago. Once it's like multiple years in, it's like somebody who just played the game today will probably be like, oh, this is really cool. Whereas you're like, I'm like, you know, 9 years past this as a concept, you know what I mean? Like,
it's so hard. Yeah,
it's real tough.
Yeah, but actually, this is the first game I've worked on where it's come out and I like it. Like, I played a release day stream, and it was the first time in a while I'd like played it like from the beginning. I just pro tip, if you're releasing on Steam, do a release day stream. Like, start streaming right when it comes out. It gets you a lot more front page coverage if you can like get enough viewers. So anyway, for marketing reasons, I was doing one of those, and I actually had like a really great time, which is a really good. I didn't expect to want to be doing that on release day. I expected to want to be away from it, but it ended up being really like celebratory, which was very special. I think that part of that is just in how like chaotic this game is and how much you can do with customization, how exploratory it is. But definitely part of it is also just like it's been through so many rewrites of major systems and how things work, and like I've just been playing it. Me and especially Issa worked on a lot of the combat system design stuff. Like, we've just been playing it for so long that I think it's really solid. I hope that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in it that I think isn't the best, obviously, but I think that as like as a strategy game, it's really solid, and I'm really proud of it, which is not something I usually feel about my own work. So
well,
it's great.
We could probably talk about this game for many, many hours. We've got 2 other presenters to go, so we should probably call it then. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on. It's a great game.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
It's nice hanging out and chatting.
Boop, boop, boop. All right, folks, we will be back with our next presenter. Don't go anywhere. Also, Doritos in the chat for Badger. Amazing job. Go buy the game.
Yeah, I posted.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our next presenter of the night, Peter Lazarski. How's it going, Peter?
Good. Cheers. Good evening,
Cheers.
everybody. But yeah, I guess I brought a little bit of a build in progress of a new game that Imaginary Monsters is working on. It's me and a couple other people. Let me see if talk about the team a little bit. There's myself, Catherine DeFeo, who's helping do some additional artwork and animation. Reese Maddle, who's in Australia. He's been doing a lot of our engine development and setup. And Pete Johnson, who's helping us out with some music. You can hear some of the the gameplay sound here. And Juhachi's in the chat too. So that's awesome. That's Catherine DeFeo. But yeah, so Grindblood or Grindblood's Gauntlet, the game that we're taking a peek at, is sort of like a roguelite arena shooter set in sort of this hell prison dungeon where you've got skeletons and there'd probably be other audience members all around you kind of spectating your suffering and such. And we're still in progress. We've been making some progress. Lately I was talking about how we've been kind of just trying to chunk through our art backlog a little bit and catch up to where Reese was with engine stuff. But kind of basic twin stick shooter elements. You've got lots of succubuses and things. This is also Grindblood is also kind of sort of a spin-off of another game that we have in progress called Abixis, which is a bit of a larger Metroidvania. And what happened was, so we're most of the team is based in Rochester, New York, and there's a games program here at Rochester Institute of Technology called Magic, and they do. We're not students anymore. We're all kind of too old for that, but they do a fair bit of community outreach and community support, and they had introduced this program that they've done for I think maybe 2 or 3 years now called Community Incubator, and we'd been working on Abixis for a while, and we thought it would be great if we could at least get something out smaller just to start, I think just to get a little bit of, get out of some of the fatigue, not to introduce side projects and stuff, but I wanted to try and get, something out sooner that could, potentially turn into some revenue for everybody that was involved sooner. And then once that's done, kind of see where we wanted to go next, maybe fold back into Abixis or do Abixis or look at another small project. But Grindblood is the result of that. This guy's trying to get me. You get items and some pickups, and let me see if I can trigger one of them. So a lot of the assets are still kind of placement art, but we're still kind of getting through and kind of ticking through and replacing stuff. Oh, it looks like I'm shooting faster too. So yeah, this is still kind of a fun kind of unboxing for me, because I know Reese set up he's done a lot of work setting up a bunch of kind of temporary items and things, and I don't know what they all do yet, and we still have to kind of do an art and kind of writing pass to get the flavor of things right. Chaos Orb sounds cool. Oh yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say, you were saying this game is using a lot of placeholder art, and I know my understanding of that is maybe different from some other people that are watching this, because I think a lot of people would look at this and would be like, this art looks really nice for placeholder art.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Reese is a real. He's another game maker developer, and I think we got introduced because we had both been working with Poppyworks. So the main thing that I worked on independently before this was Halloween Forever, and sort of released it on my own. Oh no, I'm out of Chaos Orb. Released it on my own, and then had some help from Poppyworks to do our console porting. And I was talking to Wolfgang at Poppyworks about, we want to do this new project, and he kind of helped us sort of set up the team with like an extra developer, and it's been awesome. He's been doing a great job, but also he'll set up a lot of assets and set up a lot of things with really decent looking like temporary sprites. Like these little guys, these kind of like imp demons and skeletons, they're probably like half something I did, but also half something he did, because he had included a bunch of these little like kind of pee-wee demons in there, and I was just like, these are cute, but I gotta make something to kind of fit this role. So it was sort of like a fun little blending of stuff, I guess.
Well, the thing I was thinking is just that it seems like you're sort of reusing a lot of sprites from Abixis for this. There's some overlap. Like the skeletons are like right from it, but even too, I think it was kind of like some things to kind of get things, a little bit like in the same world tonally. Let's see what's in this item box. Blizzard, bottled Blizzard, and then actually, because there's a map, so there's a lot of like infrastructure stuff that Reese has done and set up, and we have to do some kind of work to catch up for sure. But so we have like the maps are procedural; those get generated, when you start. They're going to be varied every time. I think it's also like really interesting to try and talk and like shoot and survive while we're going. I think I'd like to talk a little bit about like the general scope of the game. We're going to try to have, I think, 4 worlds. Like this kind of dungeon zone is one. We'll have at least three other. I think that's kind of like our goal to start there and see how it feels. But it's kind of as long as if we decide we have time or we want to add more content, or we could do some post-launch content. I feel like the game is kind of designed to be pretty modular as far as eventually we're going to have an unlock shop where you kind of do the whole roguelite thing of, buy upgrades to get like better drops, and also those like spawn more enemies, buy upgrades to maybe add new bosses that may include better drops or just like more replay variety. A treasure chest. But I forgot to use my bottled Blizzard. Get that going. But yeah, so I don't know, we're just kind of going through and getting stuff made. It looks like I've got like a freezing shot now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, we'll have a bunch of unlockable characters. And it's like, and James, kind of like you said with like similarities to Abixis, it's kind of funny that like people that will come around like my live streams as I'm like working on stuff kind of like understand, I guess, like the headcanon of where this game is coming from, but like I'm also totally comfortable that people seeing it for the first time are probably just going to be, seeing the stuff as like a brand new thing, which is awesome. But also, I think one of the reasons why I was excited about trying to do like a smaller game, because Abixis is still, a ways off, is that, if anything, if people get kind of exposed to this and they're into it, and I think, cool, demons and skeletons and hell, tortured souls, all that fun stuff, then maybe it makes for like a better launch or more receptive launch. We've got like our first boss, this bat guy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because it's not sort of an uncommon thing for indie developers who are working on sort of a larger game that's going to take a while to actually get out, or is taking a while to actually get out for whatever reason, to sort of go, I'd like to kind of take a breather, work on something a little smaller, something I can get out a little faster, just because of the design of it, it's a lot of people do, but often they sort of almost want to do something like totally unrelated to their big game, you know what I mean? And I think this is a case I don't think I've really seen before, somebody going, I'll make a game where mechanically it's very different. For people who don't know,
baby bats.
Pete's main game Abixis is more sort of like a Metroidvania game, very inspired by like Demon's Crest, right? Is that the name?
Yeah. Like in Abixis, you're a protagonist. It's kind of like a gargoyle-ish, sort of like Firebrand's demon who's kind of like locked away in a hell prison, and what happens is like you kind of wind up doing the sort of like anti-hero fallen angel thing where for lack of a better word, like a prayer kind of makes its way to hell, which shouldn't happen. And kind of like the cosmology of like, when you, so I guess like back to Grindblood real quick, you get like a choice of like a nice upgrade when you beat a boss, and then you would kind of go to the next floor, or get a chance to like visit like a casino or the upgrade shop or such. But right now we just have that. But yeah, so you in Abixis, you're kind of like a bad demon who's trying to do good in a way, but also it's like very disruptive because there's kind of like themes of like, I don't know, it's like you're breaking out of jail and essentially, but it's like a jail without guards, and as you kind of like move and shake and kind of go and disrupt around, all the other prisoners start to kind of realize that, what's keeping us here too, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that game is like more of like a 2D platformer where you have sort of like shooty attacks. So it's interesting to me that for your sort of like, let's take a breather on a smaller project, you're still sort of using a lot of the same sort of art assets, and you're still kind of building on that same universe even of your other larger game, but just with a totally different style of game. Like this is clearly more of like a Smash TV, style.
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely kind of that like world building angle too, which to me it's just fun, and it makes sense or feels good to kind of like flesh things out as far as what else could the game be, or what else could we kind of add to it. And it'll be fun to kind of like do some mutual callbacks. Like we'll probably have playable characters from Abixis that will be playable characters in this, and include some Halloween Forever stuff too. And that's just it. People get kind of like very literal with it sometimes. They think like, oh, is this the same universe? And it's like, yes and no. But at least as far as like how this will connect to Abixis, like it's definitely like a very literal, continuity between like one and the other. Not necessarily like continuity, but definitely same world, kind of expanded world building. Probably too many years of Dungeons and Dragons playing and that kind of stuff, and too many homebrew games, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to check out Pete's stuff, he's a very prolific streamer. I think you stream almost every day during the week, right?
It's been like my schedule used to be a lot more regular, and it's very like I think we usually like in a given week, maybe I get on like 1 to 2 out of 3 days, and it really kind of changes up on a given week. But probably the best way is just Twitch still allows for like notifications, so if people follow and enable notifications, that's great. We have a Discord too, discord.gg/imaginary monsters. I think we have like an auto notification that goes live in there for when we do go live, and also on Twitter. I think I'm Peter Lazarski on Twitter. I'm in the process of setting up an Imaginary Monsters handle, but it's not like the full word or full phrase Imaginary Monsters because there's too many characters in it. But in the future, I'll probably shift the notifications over to there. But Discord and Twitch are probably the best ways to kind of catch wind of this stuff. Was that like a microphone? Oh, an alchemist concoction. That's cool. Yeah, so we have to like go through kind of the list of all the there's a bunch of the exciting thing about working with Reese is he's already done so much work for like the mechanics on the different items, and now we kind of just get to go and like tweak and poke and see what work we want to do to change feel and things, or what kind of stuff we want to kind of lock away behind an upgrade. But yeah, I don't know. This is mostly what the game is going to be like. We're making a couple changes. I think we'll see if the next room is kind of a wide room. So I guess this is a good example. We're going to be changing the level generation so that we kind of stick to mostly these like screen size rooms. Just we felt like it's easier to control the spawns and kind of keep the intensity, consistent and balanced. Instead of having which way are we supposed to go? Over to the left. Instead of having like a large hallway room, that might be where we're going now. Yeah, so like the problem with this is I can kind of stay over in one corner and sort of be relatively safe for too long. And just as far as like a design, I mean, it's cool that these guys are dying on the spikes, but you can do that in a small room too. But I think we were talking about what to do with how we change things. And I think originally we had like wide open rooms that were like 2 screens by 2 screens. And if you stood in the center of them, like you would never see the audience. And in the future, I'm hoping the audience to be, fairly interactive, like have like sound effects that trigger when you're doing well or poorly, or, they might throw items out onto the field, or there might even be like enemies that fly out from the audience to kind of join the fight. In a sense, you'd probably be able to see them. They would stand out pretty well, like have a guy standing up there or something. But because you're kind of locked in this sort of, spectator sport, death dungeon sort of thing, I wanted that to be a big feature.
All right. Well, do we have any questions from the audience for Pete? I remember there was somebody asking, can we add a baddie with a head cannon? And will that be head cannon? Or will that be real cannon?
I like it. I have our Trello open on like a new tab. I'll see if I remember to jot that down. Yeah, the head cannon. You heard it here first.
Well, right now it's head cannon for whoever was asking, Pete Johnson, I think. But,
Pete Johnson is the composer for the games. This is his music that you're hearing right now.
But it could be real canon eventually.
Yeah, a real head cannon. I think it's really good. I love the spikes. I love and we have like a whole set of traps that we're planning out. But I always get a kick out of hazards that harm the player and also harm the enemy and stuff. It's just kind of fun. We're back to the boss again. But yeah, and I think probably in like sort of like the base scope of the game, we're going to have like probably 2 bosses per level, and I think we've seen like about 7 or 8 enemy types in the first world, and that's probably what we'll have for most of the worlds. But again, it's going to be a kind of thing where we like get to like a volume and then see, is this the right field? Do we want to add more? Do we have time to add more budget? I mean, our budget is really just time right now because everybody's sort of doing this on the side.
It's very reminiscent of the big bat from Halloween Forever.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know Catherine did the art for this guy, and I think he was one of like the early demo Abixis bosses, and we still have to kill the babies. How cruel!
He has a good sort of a mullet going. He kind of has a little bit of a rockabilly.
Yeah, I think I was like, I wanted like a boss for the demo that would be easy to develop. So I was like, let's spruce up the big bat from Halloween Forever, because it's mostly like the same engine with a handful of improvements. But also too, it's been interesting, being away from working on that for as long as I have been, I guess. And lately I've been thinking about it a bit more and thinking about, stuff I would change or stuff to revisit. And it is like, kind of like you're saying, it is nice to have like time away and they can kind of come back with sort of like a fresh set of eyes. And hopefully I just don't forget how to program or something.
It gives you time to sort of build up fresh ideas,
Yeah, definitely. Because I think the way like the last sort of time I spent working on Abixis with like any regularity, it was good, but I definitely I think somebody in like another developer Discord that I'm a member of posted something about sometimes like your progress feels like this, and it's just like a spiral in a circle, but really it's like spiraling upward in a sense. But I was starting to kind of get to the point of like, I feel like I'm adding features or refining things kind of in like a vertical slice sentiment, but not really advancing like the overall effort enough to feel good about that. And it's definitely like a large enough project to kind of feel like there's just like a pit of content and a pit of features that need to be filled in, and like in a sense like no effort is wasted sort of thing. But also now that like we will be like approaching it again, it's like how to maybe like remove that mindset if possible and just try to kind of pin down like what are the most important things or what's the most impact stuff we can do to get in there, so that it doesn't necessarily feel like just like a wandering thing. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But it's not entirely bad. It's just something I'm eager to kind of get my hands back into and play around with. But yeah.
Well, we will. We have one more presenter, although I don't know where he is right now. He's gone from the green room.
Oh no,
Jordan!
Yeah, that's okay. Happy to kind of pass the baton whenever is good. Wall meat, complete with lorem ipsum. I like it.
So how quick do you guys go from, because you're talking about like throwing in items and just prototyping things, like how fast is that iteration process for you guys now to just like get in there and try something?
As far as like, well, I think that our kind of like, oh, I think we just froze. Cool. I think most of like the process in that so far has kind of been and here's my cool trick. There's an actual music playing in the game. It's just a looping MP3. If I can get this to close. Most of what we've got in here so far has been just a bunch of stuff that Reese had set up, and so we haven't really gotten around to like doing our sort of like second iteration on it. But despite him being in Australia and like the obvious time difference and stuff, it's been nice. We've been pretty communicative on Discord and keeping in touch, pretty easily. And even still, like, we've been doing a lot of, maybe we'll take a look at that just because it'll be something fresh. We've been doing a lot of asset stuff recently because what happened was I think this is the right Sprite file. This is like a new boss that we're working on getting in. This is I just want to make sure. Yeah, we can see it. So Reese did a lot of work over the last year, essentially, kind of getting us to a point where, the build is where it's at today. And I think a lot of us got just sort of I know I got like mentally derailed by like pandemic stuff and was having a hard time getting some work done on it. So over the end of the winter, I've just been trying to like kind of gather my focus a bit and see what I could do to sort of carve through our like assets and stuff. And at least we're at the point now where like all of our World 1 assets, at least like enemies and like boss content wise, are done. And I'm starting to work on World 2 stuff. So even though there's probably going to be like outliers and things we find that we want to include, it feels pretty good as far as, we have like a solid chunk of content done.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think we'll just kind of go through and do like a comparable amount of work on like the World 2 stuff. Then we'll kind of say like, when do we want to take a look at items? When do we want to take a look at sort of like doing like a UI pass? When do we want to take a look at the unlock shop? Some of the more like casino-y gambling elements. Like I think Reese had been saying he has like something built or some kind of like engine for a slot machine, and I'm like, yes, please, let's get that in there.
Oh, that's cool.
But they just like have like a working file of some some assets in progress. Like there are these kind of like muscular cultists. Down here is more some more stuff of what we're gonna have going for World 2. So like this Iron Maiden, more like fleshy stuff. There's like a kind of like a sewn together thing, like a meat covered skeleton, like a meat slime. And I got excited about this like nurse succubus, and she's probably gonna like hurl like hypodermic needles at you. Very vaccine inspired. Where's I grabbed the Iron Maiden. Yeah, this guy just came together this week with you know, a couple good states. So it's fun. It's like a lot of like traditional animation, you know, just frame by frame stuff. But it gets like a fun, you know, I really like the look of it all, and I feel like it gives the game, you know, a little bit of like a lurid, you know, it's fun, gory, and yeah, it's just been pretty enjoyable to put together so far. It really doesn't feel like work to me, which is the best part.
Yeah, that blood drip there is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's I think it's like 2 instances, maybe 3 instances, kind of repeated, and then like a side blip there. So it looks complicated, but it's like super simple in a way. And let me find the mouth. This is fun. So we wanted to have something for when you know, like what we wanted to make like the level transition kind of big or kind of important. It might be in, yeah, decor set piece. So we've got, so what this is, our layers are all funny because I was doing some, but what's going to happen is you have, where's all the breaking stuff effects? Right. Okay. So you've got this. So you'll beat the boss and kind of transition to the next level, and this like mouth emerges from the ground underneath where you're standing, and just like does like a big munch on you, and then you get kind of like plopped into the next floor, like you passed through the tube or something like that. But
oh man, I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like Abadoxy, you know, we like the kind of weird body stuff. But this took me like a couple weeks of like, the rocks don't look good, I have to do it again. The rocks still don't look good, I have to do it again. and then it was like, I think there's like 2 effects that sort of repeat. It's going to be a big sprite sheet, but at least it looks nice. So
wow, cool stuff. This is awesome. I love seeing
Thank
this.
you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. A-Sprite is like kind of the lifeblood of how we're getting the assets done. It's a really amazing tool. The timeline is super easy to work with.
Cool. Well, I think have we figured out our next presenter?
Do we find our guy?
Yeah, we found our man.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. Cool, Peter. Thank you so much. This was an amazing little tour of the super cool work that you guys are doing. What's your Twitter handle, or sorry, your Twitch handle again?
Twitch is twitch.tv/imaginary monsters. Discord is discord.gg/imaginary monsters, and just Peter Lazarski on Twitter, all one word.
Perfect. Everyone knows where to find you.
Don't forget Doritos in the chat.
Peter, Doritos in the chat for Peter. That is our official amazing job. Peter, thank you so much. We will talk soon.
Awesome.
All right, don't go anywhere, anybody. We will be back with our last presenter of the night. Hey, everybody, and we are back with our last presenter of the night, not Jordan Kloosterman, whose internet spontaneously exploded moments before going live. So it's us. Hello, hi.
Hello.
You have to listen to
Hello.
us now.
You get us.
You just get our smiling faces and a kitty cat.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go get Yuffie before the end of the night.
Oh yeah, let's get some cats. We got lots of cats happening here. Also in the chat here, Imaginary Monsters, Peter, who just went up, said, "Love the visuals." By the way, those were put together by the one and only Owen Deary, who has a game coming out sometime pretty soon that everyone should go check out. So follow Owen Deary on Twitter at Owen Deary. He makes amazing.
What's it called again?
Amazing.
I know, Yuffie. We're relaxing. But look at the cam. Look over here. Say hi.
Yeah, check out all of Owen's stuff. He made all the visuals for all of our interspice, all of our bumpers, and graciously allowed us to use them as much as we want. So thank you, Owen.
You made some of them too. Right?
What's that?
You made some of them too, right?
I did make some of the early ones. They weren't as good as Owen's.
Based on, yeah, I mean, Owen's kick ass.
We're just using Owen's now at this point. But I usually put the intro videos together. This is us just hanging out and stretching for a couple of minutes before we take off, and hang up this magical April month. We'll be back next month with more video games, more people, more good times. Our 1 year digital anniversary, digiversary.
That's right.
Virtuversity.
May was the first ever Dirty Rectangles online that we ever did. Yeah. It was shortly after the pandemic had started. We couldn't do the live ones in Ottawa or Toronto. Anybody who's tuning into this that is only familiar with the online version of Dirty Rectangles, we used to do these as live events originally for a very long time in Ottawa, and then semi-recently, man, I can't even remember when we started it. Do you remember, Casey, the Toronto ones?
It was October, I think.
October 2019. Yes.
Yeah, so this October would have been like the 2-year anniversary of the Toronto ones. But yeah, we were doing them at a Seascape here in the Junction for, I don't know, those who are in Toronto and know the names of the different boroughs or whatever you call them. Yeah, the original Ottawa Dirty Rectangles up in Ottawa at the Avant-Garde Bar downtown.
For 11 years.
Yeah.
11 years. Wear that badge proudly.
Hopefully soon we'll be able to get back to the sometime this year maybe we'll be able to get back to the live ones if any bars still exist at that point. I don't know.
Oh man. They'll come back, and when they come back, we come back, and we'll all make it work. It's been a fun transition though, at the very least, and trying to figure out all this shit as stretching my laptop to its limits, and then past its limits multiple times.
Finding out the true power of the MacBook.
Okay, well. It's been fun. I think this is gonna do it for us tonight. Any parting words for anybody here? Also, before we do go, remember, if you ever want to get on the show, you can meet us up. You can hit us up on Twitter at Dirty Rectangles or at rectangles_TO for the Toronto folks. And you can also find us on Discord, which you will have a link to in our chat in just a second.
Wait, Derek, Jordan Klooster's back, and it looks like he's streaming all right in the green room. Do we want to jump to him?
Sure. There's nothing dirtier than a late-minute presentation. All right, bring him in.
Jordan, it looked like your thing was streaming.
What?
It looked like your thing was streaming. Do you want to go?
Is it?
I saw it. Well, it's not now into another channel, but I saw in the green room it seemed like it was working.
Yeah, it was just like spinning on Discord forever. Like it wasn't working, so I had to quit it.
It was showing a preview. It made me hopeful. All right. Well,
can you guys hear the audio?
We can hear you now, but you'd have to restream, I think, in here.
Okay. Can you hear the game audio I was playing? Or
You were in the other channel, so no. But if you start streaming now and here, I think it'll work.
okay, let me try that.
People in the chat want to come up for live rectangles. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
There we go. Let's see if it works. Yeah,
Can you
we're
hear
good.
Yep,
the
we're
game?
good.
Yeah, looks good.
Is it actually working, the audio?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Oops.
Cool. Okay. Well, you made it just in time. Take it away.
Yeah. Okay. Am I allowed to like switch screens or whatever?
It should work.
Video. Okay. Yeah. First thing I want to say is we should vote in NDP or something so they can nationalize the telecoms.
Woo!
Yeah. I'm Jordan Kushman. I'm game designer, programmer, and I've gotten into politics recently. And yeah. Share my screen and see if it works. Okay. Is it working? Just stop video. Yeah. So I made a game called Perfect Harmonic Practice. Not sure if you guys can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just like an educational game teaching about like music and sound and stuff. This is a neat one. Yeah, so it's just supposed to teach about frequencies and stuff, and have some videos and whatever that you can link to. And yeah. So this one, it is showing like harmonics. There's like some cool videos on harmonics and stuff that I love too. And you can hear them. Is it all crackly for you guys like it is for me or no?
No, sounds
in regular tone. Yeah.
Just a little loud.
Oh, it is?
Oh, there you go.
Is that a bit better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so this is done with like Freya Homer's shapes. I'm not sure if you guys know about that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a super cool thing. It's on sale right
Yeah.
now with the Unity plugin sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was just like drawing like line segments and then using the sine waves, and then the red line is all the sine waves added together. It's pretty neat. You can change the levels and stuff like that and add more. Remove them. Play the notes. But yeah, what this whole game was based off of was an idea I had from watching a Sideways video about ear training. And ear training is like to do with like perfect pitch, where if you can like hear a note, then you automatically know what it is, like the same way that you would see a color and know what it is. And it was like an interesting thing. I was like, oh man, I should make like a game to teach people that. And supposedly
cool.
it's impossible. Sorry, what are you saying?
No, I'm saying that's cool.
Yeah. And supposedly it's impossible for adults to develop it, so you have to get it while you're a kid. And I was like, is that true? I mean, like people can like play Rocket League, or whatever, and do all these crazy tricks after like get like 10,000 hours in or whatever. So I don't know. Decided to make a game to see if that is true. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is a piano, and there's two modes. There's immediate mode where it just like plays a note out of the ones you select. You can select more. And then you can start it. It plays a note, and yeah. Or you can do memory mode, which is like a sequence that you have to follow. Yeah.
Cool. What's your how are you planning on getting this out to people?
So I did this as working for a company called STEM World Educational Services as a co-op, and planning on putting on itch.io, and then after that looking to get on Apple Store and on mobile. And, yeah. So looking to get it to clean up, maybe give it a background, and then put on their itch.io page. And yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Very cool.
Is it all right if I go through a little bit of the design process?
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Let me just find... Oh. Does anyone know the present button in PowerPoint?
Oh,
Control Enter? Maybe?
I think it's usually just F5 or something, isn't it? I don't know. It's been forever. I always just use the Google Docs one now.
We can see it like this.
Okay. So this is the design process. It's like the game Simon. Bob next to the piano equals Jacob Collier. I'm not sure if you guys know who that is, but yeah, but it was basically like I had this idea from watching this Sideways video on like perfect pitch and stuff. So making a game on it, and then for a college assignment, we had to make the game Simon in C++, and I wasn't able to make like the buttons light up, so you just had to do it by ear. I was like, oh, I can use that with the other idea of piano, and I did it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. No, it's. Have you found that it's improved your pitch? Your detection pitch?
A little bit, like just like playing the game.
Right.
Like I'm like better than when I started, but I'm pretty tone deaf, and yeah, it's
you just gotta put in
it's not like I've gotten very far.
You got to put in your 10,000 hours or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. Anything else there
yeah.
you want to show us?
Not much. Just like just from scratch, like built a synthesizer and stuff in C#. It was pretty cool. Made a tact decay sustain and all that. It was a neat experience. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. That's awesome.
If you guys want to check out my Twitter, it's right here.
And we'll drop a link in the chat.
Okay, cool. Should I do that? Also, to do. Huh?
I'm grabbing it now.
Cool.
I beat you. Oh, you beat me.
It's a race.
The fastest Control-C, Control-V-er in the world.
Also, if you guys want to check something out to do with like politics, right now there's like a vote going on whether to have proportional or to like have electoral reform, and there's like there's like 12 people who are doing the vote, and if we can like convince 12 of them or like 6 of them to vote yes on it, then we'll get like a National Citizens Assembly. It means we get like electoral reform, and that makes like politics better. It's a pretty cool thing. You guys should check it out if you want.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Look into that.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Tell you my opinions.
No, it's all good. Cool. This is awesome, Jordan. And thanks for mentioning that thing too. Here, let's jump out real quick. We'll get everybody back on camera as we wrap things up here. Oh, there we go.
Phew, here we are at the end of the show, man. To think that May will be the 1-year anniversary.
We're gonna have to do something special. Jordan, do you have any ideas for us for what we should do for our 1-year anniversary next month?
Of the Twitch stream?
Yeah.
I'll be sure to let you know if I think
We'll figure something out. We have to do a Twitter poll or something.
I think we should rank all the versions of Tetris in a tournament.
Well, my friend, man, that got me through the pandemic, through most of the pandemic. To be honest, I was just sitting there playing Tetris for many hours, folks. If you want to check out, what was that, Eric?
I was going to say, after you did that whole thing, I went to a local pawn shop and hunted down a copy of Wetrix for the 64, so now I actually have it.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I need to find
that was the first time I'd ever seen Tetris, and you actually got me to play Wetrix, which had always been a white whale for me. And then I finally...
I should just go back and play some Wetrix. If you want to watch me throw blocks at stuff, you could go check out our Dirty Rectangles YouTube channel. It's all on there, as well as all of these great videos. So every one of our Dirty Rectangles online that we've done over the entire year is up on YouTube, as well as video on demand on Twitch for 2 weeks. But YouTube forever. So go and check all that stuff out and get involved. Get on the show. Reach out to us. Join our Discord. Message us if you want to get on the show, if you want to present. It's as easy as that. We're looking for people for next month or down the line or whenever. Eric, you look like you were going to say something at one point. Nope. All right. Nailed it.
Which Eric?
Eric
Yeah,
McQuiggan.
that's a good point.
Eric McQuiggan, you look like you were going to say something.
No, I mean, play Wetrix.
Yes, everyone should go home and play some Wetrix. Last month we were telling everyone to play Minecraft, so now that we're moving up a little bit.
Yes.
We get $1.30 every time that somebody downloads Wetrix off of romhustler.com.
Specifically ROM Hustler, your ROM distribution of choice. Okay, we're gonna take off. Oh yeah, Fez came out. Everyone go buy Fez too.
Yeah.
Not Fez 2, but Fez 1. Go buy Fez for the 10th time.
Fez just came out? I don't understand.
Fez came out on Switch. Fez came out on Switch today.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're babbling. We should get out of here. Folks, it's been real. Thanks for joining us. Jordan, thanks for sticking around. All of the other presenters tonight, thank you. We will be back next month with some more games. Yeah. All right.
So.
Cool. Wait, I'm not ready. Okay, I'm ready now. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
By the way, but I have